So we are about a year into this Advantage Plus experimentation with meta ads, and I made a video immediately when it first came out. If you haven't seen that video, you can go ahead and check it out right here. But in that initial video, I just gave a broad overview of what it was because it was very different and something that a lot of people weren't necessarily prepared for. And I told everyone, hey, proceed with caution, just make sure you test things first before you go all in. And then after that, I made a follow-up video to give some initial results after I had been running some Advantage Plus campaigns for about a month. So you can go ahead and check out that video right here as well to see all those results. But right now, I was browsing through all of the accounts that I manage, and I realized that in every single account, we are using Advantage Plus. There's not a single account where we're not using that anymore at this point. And so we are at the stage where honestly Advantage Plus should be your default going into it, and not using Advantage Plus should be the wild experiment that perhaps you conduct further down the road. Now really quick, again, I pointed out to those previous videos that you can check out where I go a lot deeper into what Advantage Plus is and what the results are, but at a very high level, I'll explain it quickly here as well. So Advantage Plus, it gives the algorithm more freedom and flexibility to get in front of different people. So if you are targeting fans of Star Wars, for example, that's what you've been doing for years, well, guess what? It's gonna start, targeting fans of Star Trek as well, and Battlestar Galactica, and any other kind of space odyssey, Dune, right, out there as well. So it'll start doing that even without asking you that if that's something that you want. It'll just automatically do it for you. So whatever audience you give it, that's just where it starts off, and then it's going to expand and expand and expand from there. So initially, that does sound less than ideal because you know who you want to be getting in front of, especially if it's something that's worked for you for a very long time. And so there may be some hesitation to use Advantage Plus, but like I said, we're about a year into this experiment now, and it is now just the default that we are using in all of our accounts. Now, one thing you might be considering or asking yourself is like, hey, what if I'm targeting a specific gender? I have a female specific product, a male specific product or business, whatever it might be. Does it still make sense for me to use Advantage Plus? And it does. However, you should be aware that ads will still get in front of the opposite gender, but it's not that big of a deal. I have some specific examples I want to show you here, so let's go ahead and dive right in. All right, so here is an account. We are specifically targeting women for this one right here. And so far for this month, this account has spent almost $4,000. $3,734 of those dollars have gone to women, and $50 have gone to men. Now, this is for a $97 purchase. And as you can see right here, the cost per purchase for the men actually is significantly lower than that of the women. Now, you might conclude, oh, hey, well, why don't you strictly target men? But this is not always going to be the case. I'm going to show you a different example in just a second. But here you can kind of see the benefit of this. It's like, yes, this is a female-driven type of product, but it's not impossible for a male to consume this, use this, and enjoy this. It's for interior decoration. And so, here what we see happening is that, yes, it's still primarily going after women, where that's, 95% of the budget or even more than that, still going to women. But sometimes it'll conduct a little bit of an experiment of its own. It's like, hey, actually, the tastes, interests, and attributes of these males over here that I'm finding, they seem to be like the type of person that would be interested in interior design. So let me go ahead and show them a little bit of ad, and we'll see what happens. And in this case, you can see it's actually getting a cheaper cost per purchase. So it's lowering my overall cost per purchase for the campaign. So here it's actually doing an excellent job. And were it not for Advantage Plus, that wouldn't be happening in the scenario where I'd be getting a benefit of having my overall cost per purchase lowered. However, I don't want you to think that this is the norm, that it's always going to be cheaper for the few dollars that it allocates over to men. So in this case, we'll see a different example. Once again, we are targeting women specifically. For this one, this is a yoga-specific product and service. And so once again, we see the same trend where, 95% of the budget, or if not more, is going to women. So here, if we look at this specific campaign, because it's been running longer, almost $1,500 have gone to women, $84 have gone to men. But the men cost per purchase, the male cost per purchase is $21 versus $14. And we see something similar down here where over $1,500 has gone to females, dollars have gone to males. females, and the cost per purchase is 3 times the amount going on there. So here you might say, well, hey, so why don't you switch back over to non-Advantage Plus, because clearly getting in front of the male audience is not benefiting you in any way, shape, or form. But that's not the way you want to be thinking. First and foremost, as I've pointed out many times here, it is such a small percentage that it's dedicating over to the male audience that even if we were to eliminate these purchases and this ad spend, the change to my overall cost per purchase would be pennies on the dollar, absolute pennies. So we're not talking about, oh, my cost per purchase is going to go from, $9.70 as we see for women down to $7, if I get rid of the male audience right there. It's a very small percentage. So that's the first thing. And then the second thing to keep in mind is that it's performing experiments, and it can over time potentially get you some cheaper cost per purchase, as we saw in this account over here. So you just want to give it a little bit of time. The only scenario where I would really panic and be really annoyed with Advantage Plus in this specific scenario is if it started dedicating a ton of money over to the male audience. And honestly, even a ton of money I think would be 10%, right? 10% would be way too much. Even if 90% of the budget is going over to females, I would still consider 10% to be way too much. But in this account specifically, we have tested, okay, well, let's get rid of Advantage Plus. Let's go back to regular non-Advantage Plus from, a year ago or longer. And what is the overall cost per purchase? And in our experiments, the overall cost per purchase on that campaign was higher. And now you might be asking yourself, how is that even possible? Because, well, what happens is that the same experimentation that we see going on here, where it's experimenting with some of the males that are in the given target audience, but not doing so well, that same style is happening over here as well. We just can't see the inner workings where, for the $1,500 that have been spent here and here, it's going in front of different female audiences that maybe in our minds aren't the ideal female audience, but it's getting some good results, right? We can't see that exact breakdown, but I can assure you that's what's happening because, again, when we do the non-Advantage Plus audience, we get a more expensive and higher overall cost per purchase. So even in this scenario where it seems like Advantage Plus is doing you a disservice within the female audience, again, even though we can't see this breakdown, it certainly is getting us a better result overall. And so that's why at this point, I really encourage everyone to embrace Advantage Plus. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, okay, that kind of makes sense, but I have a really specific product for females or males. But even in those scenarios, you can envision that sometimes, very infrequently, but still sometimes it'll behoove you or benefit you to have ads shown to the opposite gender, right? So let's just say your target audience is pregnant women. Obviously, it makes a lot of sense that you should be getting in front of pregnant women with your ads, but that's not to say that the significant other, husband, boyfriend, whatever it is of that pregnant woman, that he wouldn't be interested in whatever it is that you're selling. And he might be the one to bring your product or service to the attention of his wife or spouse. And then vice versa, if you have some sort of male training program for the gym and that's your target audience, well, it doesn't mean that the significant other of that man wouldn't bring that to the attention of her boyfriend or husband, right? If she knows that her boyfriend or husband has been interested or is interested in fitness and maybe has been wanting to do something different, and then she gets hit with your ad about this male specific training program, well, then she'll bring that to his attention, and that's a potential new customer for you. So there's always a scenario where it still makes sense to have ads shown to the opposite gender every once in a while. And as we've seen here, it's very small percentages, so it's not something that you have to be overly concerned about it. So hopefully, if you haven't taken the dive into Advantage Plus, this video right here is hopefully giving you the courage to do so. I really think it is the way forward. And the only way I would actually kind of go back to non-Advantage Plus is if I just start seeing really bad results with Advantage Plus. I'm not seeing that right now. I'm always seeing really good results. So give it a try and let me know how it goes for you. If you have any questions about this topic that I've covered today, as always, just let me know in the comments below and I'll be happy to answer. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you next time.